people of Earth. Here we are again. The drop. It's coming at you. All right, Quinn Bishop. He's the man. You know it. It is season 2. When is season 3? Check your calendars. We'll have an update on that. I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be a pretty big press release.
We've got I was going to say a word. A box load of albums, new vinyl, reissues, all the good stuff. Let's get to it, man. Kick it off.
We're going to kick it off in a big way, and we're going to go all HTX.
Yes, sir. H-Town.
Here. You know, brand new Lizzo record out in the racks right now. You can pick this up. You know, everybody loves Lizzo. I love her because, like, the voice of positivity, man. It's just, like, so, you know, there's so much yucky stuff out there, man. And she just is driving home the positivity. You know what blew me away? Did you see the, Letterman's Netflix?
No, I didn't.
His show is
My Next Guest, or whatever you call My Next Guest.
Needs no introduction.
Mm-hmm.
His episode with her was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, if you're even a fan at all, like that, just like raised the bar big time.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's been very busy. She's like started an at-home fitness company, clothing company.
She had a Netflix special, didn't she?
Yeah, and now she's got like a TV development thing with, I think, Amazon Prime, where she's doing like a dancing, like a Dancing with the Stars kind of thing. So she is very busy, made time to make a record, by all accounts, pretty great.
And yes, we claim her as a Houston.
We do.
Close enough for horseshoes.
Minneapolis, LA,
whatever.
About it.
Whatever.
We got her. We got her.
Yep.
Wherever you went to high school, I'll tell you what, that's home.
Yeah, exactly. yes. She went to U of H too, didn't she?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Hey, we've talked about the CD before, but now the vinyl, the big slab of vinyl from our pals, the Suppers. It starts with love. It ends with love.
It's a good record.
I think it's their best record.
It's their best record. Yeah.
And I think lyrically, they're really punching.
Yeah.
You know, punching hard, and it's a terrific record, difficult record to make. You know, they made it during the pandemic, and then I was reading that they had actually transferred all the stuff to tape, like it was all done on analog tape. So should sound great.
Yeah.
And,
so
great to have them back. You know, one of the best. We needed them during the pandemic, and then come back with such a strong record. Right?
Yes,
It was really, really terrific.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on here. Yeah.
And I think you're just going to be hearing this record all year. But it is
pick it up.
It's a great summer record.
Pick it up.
Get your summer groove on right that. And this is the trifecta of big Houston stuff. ZZ Top. This is Raw. This is the soundtrack to the little band from Texas. So if you saw that documentary, which is terrific,
it's fantastic.
There's these scenes throughout it where they're playing in Green Hall.
They're just sitting there, yeah.
And
have it all to themselves.
These are all those super raw, just the three guys playing, no sequencing, no electronical
gizmos.
Yeah, none of that. Just them sounding killer. The last thing with Dusty. Totally great.
Yeah,
you're a fan of the
absolutely.
band. This is what you want to hear them kind of going all the way back to the earliest stuff.
They open
their whole
the
career.
Brown Sugar, which is my favorite ZZ Top song.
Sweet. And you know that when they filmed that, they did that at like 6 a.m. or like 5 a.m. at Green, so they could do it with nobody there.
Sure.
And at the end, you see like they're in their cool coupe or whatever, driving out.
Drive off.
Just as the sun's coming up. Can you imagine you're getting up for your morning run or walking the dog, and you're like,
sounds like ZZ Top
playing
live over
outside. What the heck? Love it. Next up, Odesza. This is
electronic
duo.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing with this record is kind of a throwback to the early aughts. I mean, it's still modern sounding or whatever, but kind of reminds you of what was going on some time ago, and features the great Betty LaVette, who we love, and getting some good press.
Lots of folks,
and they're hitting the road.
Lots of collabs.
Yeah, The Last Goodbye is the name of the record, and this one's on Indie Store exclusive colored vinyl, as with much of we talk about here on the drop. So an anticipated new release.
Love it.
And this guy, I love this guy, John Moreland. Do you know him?
See, I don't know a lot about John Moreland.
So John Moreland is from Tulsa. He is a singer-songwriter guy, very dark singer-songwriter. And he's one of those guys that was like a hard rocker early in his career, and then has become now his music is acoustic and very sparse, very dark subject matter, very unique voice. He's great, and people might know him. He had 3 songs that were in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, cool.
That were like real thematic,
right.
Blended in
And
well
dark.
with that, and dark.
Yeah.
And he's touring with Jason Isbell and Dawes, so there's some point of reference
Makes
for
sense.
if you like those artists, you dig
You're
this.
gonna like these guys.
And we have
Go
a
ahead.
few of these lithographs or art prints. Nobody knows the proper terms for anything that paper goods you produce, but we have an art print of artwork signed by John. If you buy a copy from us, that's what you get.
I'm curious automatically about track number 3 on side A. Cheap idols dressed in expensive garbage.
Oh man, that's every day, everywhere you look, right?
Yes.
TV, radio,
Everywhere.
I mean, it's all
Whataburger.
Next up, Banks. This is her 4th
Yes.
record, Serpentine and Serpentina, soulful indie pop. She's
Good
great.
stuff.
She kind of hit the jackpot early on. Had a couple of really big tracks, and her debut, I think, was a platinum selling record for Universal. Like a lot of artists, she has stepped off from a major label, and this is her first for an independent.
Oh, cool.
And I will tell you, with a lot of artists, it really agrees with them to go independent because this record is kind of more experimental. It's a
Love
little
the
more
art
out
style.
there. Yeah, and she works well with that. Not everybody works well untethered from a major label and all of those support services, but that they bring. But if it's all about the music, it's all about the music, and I think she's
If you
this
haven't
is a
heard
great
her,
record. She's cool. We did an event with her. She was super sweet.
Yeah.
Great. But I was amazed how many fans and how excited people were to meet. Okay, this is an emerging artist that really happening here. Cuco, the sophomore record, Fantasy Gateway, LA singer-songwriter, and this cover is so kooky. And man, boy, it happened quick for this guy. Like huge tracks. The debut record was really big. It's all happening fast. Again, kind of in that you keep hearing this term, alt R&B. I think that is what it is.
This is another one I need to spend some time with.
Yeah, it's cool. And Casey Musgraves is a guest on there. You got Danny Lux.
Nice.
But really, artists you're going to be hearing more and more about, I think, on Interscope.
On Interscope,
so there's a lot of push behind
Good
it.
label. Cool, man.
And that's Cuco. And one of my favorite musicians kind of returned with his partner, his coordinating female vocalist, Zoe Deschanel, that everybody knows from, I don't know, everything, health and acting and TV. M. Ward. This is a cool record. All their records have been originals other than their Christmas record. I think there maybe was a covers record of standards, but this is their tribute to Brian Wilson, Melt Away. And they really picked some obvious stuff, some Pet Sounds tracks, and some stuff that you know.
But also then, some stuff that,
they picked some
went deep.
Cool, like Melt Away, some late, Till I Die, some really more obscure Beach Boys tunes. But, the melodies are so strong, and, chord changes are so unorthodox, but yet very tuneful. This is a great record. It's good to have them back. It's been a while. They've both been doing stuff. A couple solo records.
I interviewed Zoe second season. They were launching second season of New Girl, I think, and we didn't talk that much about the show. We talked a lot about her love of Dolly Parton's music.
Oh, that's cool.
She's a huge fan of, and then they had the Christmas thing coming out too.
The Christmas record.
And I knew that was coming out, so I asked her about that. I probably didn't make the show's publicist too happy. But
you tell me, but I suspect, and it has been my experience, that actors that really want to be musicians or really love music, that is your in. If you run into an actor, public person that's way into music, that you won't. They won't stop.
Your interview will go well.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, your interview is going to go
Love
well.
it. Okay, here's a guy that everybody knows. Nobody knows that he's making records. Well, he's making records now. The one and only Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And punk rock roots here. It's him covering I Love It So You
And not only that, his daughter, breakout star of season 4 of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. So this is I love it.
I love this, man.
And punk rock karaoke. It's him doing covers of The Damned. And
his son's band's good.
I heard a bit online.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but I remember somebody said that's Tony Hawk's kid, and I was like, what? And I went back and listened to it. And I was like, it's really good.
I mean,
have you heard this yet?
I have not. It just hit the rack. So everything we're talking about now is available in stores. You can go grab it. But one of the most iconic, extreme sport. Top of the top of the pyramid of skateboarding.
Yeah, man.
Owner
and CEO of Birdhouse. I mean, he's a big deal.
He was on that my wife listens to that Smart List podcast, and he was on there. Man. He's just so cool.
Yeah. I met him briefly, like just for a few seconds, and he was very nice.
Cool. Yeah, I think he's one of those guys. I think if you start your career,
he's the same guy.
He's the same.
Everybody tells you that, yeah.
Because he's so great.
Because I know a lot of guys in the skateboard world that are manufacture Houston's own Embassy skateboards. Those guys, and they do a lot of events where all these guys kind of cross. It's Christian Hosoi and all the big names, and of course Hawk.
He's still tied to youth. He's still tied to young people, and that's part of it.
Yeah,
it keeps you real. Keeps you real.
Yep. Love that.
Talking about this guy here, Damien Jurado, singer-songwriter. Very prolific. This is his 18th album.
Is it really?
I was very surprised by that.
He's one of these guys that I heard his name forever before I heard his music. Yeah. Like critically acclaimed. People were like, he would end up on big lists and stuff like that until I finally heard some of his stuff.
He's a musician's musician, critical, rave, critics love him.
Absolutely.
And,
I don't know this label.
It's his own label.
Oh.
Maripoca. So after making records for Sub Pop and for Secretly and big independents, he's kind of doing his own thing. And very distinctive voice. Again, it's kind of funny. It's kind of the more folkier tied to John Moreland we're talking about earlier. Dark but check him out. He's cool. You're looking for something different. Cool. I think we've talked about this band before.
Did we?
Yeah, Black Midi.
Yes.
Brand new record from Black Midi. This is their third, and it's experimental. All the music's different. It's hard for me to keep a beat on. I don't know if it resonates with me or not. It's
I like that one track off the last album. I think there was a music video that went with it that they released. And I was like,
one used for the film.
I think so.
Too.
I think so. But again, a lot of buzz on transparent red vinyl, cool cover. And
there's a lot of production on their records.
A lot of people are hot on these guys right now.
They did this in 2 weeks. They record in 2 weeks.
That's the way it should be, man.
I know. I
think the
lay it down.
We were in the studio for 6 months is probably.
It's funny.
I think that's kind of moved on, right?
I was talking to a friend yesterday who's been a music manager for 50 years.
Yeah.
And he had produced a record by a blues guy, and 30 years ago, and the record came out and bombed. But he just was like, he found the master tapes. Their rehearsals the night before they went to cut the record, and he's like, it's so much better than what they did in the studio. Like, the studio is just enough for you to screw everything up and overthink everything. Yeah. Right.
Especially if you keep trying to fix a song.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
The little I know of actually being in a studio, if you didn't get it in the first or second take, maybe just move on.
And then it sets in, and then the funk sets in.
Well, that's why, and Pro Tools enabled that whole lot of this one guitar solo is actually 17 different guitar. It's just like, okay, we're going to take half of this bar, 2 notes here. I like, you know what I'm saying? And they just kind of Frankenstein it, which a lot of people are very,
and a
lot of backlash lately
on
that.
Metal fans out there, and extreme, maybe not for the really kooky guys, but I will tell you, your biggest bands in the world out there are digitally editing all their guitar solos so that you don't hear about it. Sorry.
There are those artists that don't do that trickery, but we're just talking about
by and large that it does happen.
You hear things in the industry.
You hear things in the industry.
Moving on.
We hear things, and okay.
Yes, please.
You take 3 and I'll take 2.
Yes, please.
These guys back on the road. This is I think the 4th.
Have you seen any of the video?
I have
not. The TikTok of Vince Neil is the worst and best thing you've ever seen in your life. I understand that he was never a great singer, and I understand that he was always more of a how kind of guy, He's not even close on the words. They're just these grunts and noises and squeals.
They can't get him a teleport.
I don't know.
This is not the best enthusiastic recommendation of the upcoming big show.
And I love the crew.
With this band, Motley Crue.
All right, do it.
So these records have been, they sold their publishing again. It's changed hands like 4 times.
Yeah, and we're not going in any particular order here, are we?
No.
Okay.
So I think we're just going to say they're all out there. Their first 5 albums available again to coincide with their big arena tour with
Def Leppard
and Joan Jett.
Yes, sir.
Who else? And Poison, right?
Is Poison on that?
I think Poison's
I've heard great things about their set.
So you can get these records haven't been available in a couple of years, so you can pick them up on vinyl and CD. They're back. Sadly, no bonus tracks on the disc, but I think that they pretty much used
Mr. Metal himself was doing a breakdown of the discography, Mr. Eddie Trunk, and he was saying that, they actually change a little bit on every album.
I think so.
There's
good.
I mean, for me, man, it's Shout.
Yeah,
that's the tour. That's the tour that I saw. That's the tour that I loved, and that's the record that I always go back to. I mean,
I love the first 2. They're one of those bands that
I even love their version of Helter Skelter.
I like that too. They're one of those bands that's kind of very great example of that era where, hard rock and LA band, of that era that it's all the dude's favorite band.
Yeah.
And then the power ballad happens, and then it's all the girls' favorite.
Absolutely.
And then the dudes are like, I'm out.
I remember seeing this picture, and I was in high school, junior high, I don't even know. And I was like, okay, so this is metal. I'm like, this is all the accoutrements you must have to correctly be metal.
But then the record's like straight up hard rock. I think
it is. It was very hard rock.
Consider them metal. I mean, they're like.
Well, I mean, Mick Morris was playing in like blues rock bands.
Yeah.
They're like, you want me to do what?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Saw this tour, took the wife to that one. Yeah.
There you go.
Because she loved Home Sweet Home, so we went to see that one.
Of course. I mean, that's the ballad. All right.
Good stuff, man.
Back in stores.
The Motley.
Back in stores, carrying on the reissue program that we have for you. I think this next release tells you how, underserved the vinyl record buying public is, that there really has not been a Third Eye Blind record.
That was the height of CD domination when these guys came out and were a thing.
CD. So now you can get, there's a two LP set of all their greatest hits. They had a bunch. Still, very straight down the middle.
Is this the first album?
That is I think it's photo from the first album, but it's all their.
Got a collection. Got it.
Collection.
Of course, Opus with Semi-Turned Live. Sure.
And, all the big ones are on there, and you finally get something.
This was my dear friend, his wife, in her college days, like soundtrack to her entire college experience. She's had a couple of margaritas when she gets a hold of the phone and takes over the playlist, because it's going to be a lot of Third Eye Blind and a lot of singing at the top of your lungs.
Oh boy, college, everybody.
University. Try it for at least a semester.
Next reissue, it's 50th anniversary. It's
so classic.
The Crue records were 40th anniversary.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, not a big fan of those numbers. But anyway, one of the absolute classic albums by the Staple Singers, The Altitude, has a lot of the big hits. What you might not know about the Staple Singers is really all the hits were recorded in like 2 sessions, and then they parsed them out on.
I did not know that.
Yeah, on the following records. But this says, "I'll take you there and respect yourself." That's pretty much all you need to know, and the rest of the record is every bit as good.
Yeah, there's not a bad
you just might know
here.
The songs recorded Muscle Shoals, Pop Staples on guitar.
Yeah, and if you've never heard the word the Staple Singers, you've probably heard them sampled in,
Absolutely.
God only knows how many hip-hop songs. And they decided to take the cover photo inside of a jet turbine. So
that is, you know what?
Extra.
I never noticed that. I never noticed that.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it sure is. Oh, they're going to take you there. They're going to take you there.
Take you there.
Mr. Punster didn't pick up on that.
Right.
Woo! Need to polish up there and put
all
my
right,
act together.
It's the doldrums of the summer doldrums.
Oh, tell me about it. Pavement, the reissue series, they've been putting out their classic albums.
Have they done their reunion thing yet?
It's coming up.
Right?
Yeah,
it's coming
I think
up.
it was supposed to. They're not playing in Houston. They're playing in Austin coming up. I think they're playing actually 2 nights there. The Cactus staff is very excited about this. This Westing by Musket collects their first 3 EPs and some
cool.
stray stuff. So, and I don't think this has been reissued since 20 years or something. Big band, big alternative.
Very influential band.
College rock.
Yeah.
Remember that too?
Yeah, and it was one of those bands that when that record came out, when was Slanted Enchanted the first one?
Yeah, and then
that's the first one I bought. That's the first one I bought. And then I remember within the year, labels had bands that sounded like Pavement.
Archers.
Yeah, right.
And there was just a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's how you know that you strike a chord.
Hey, the new thing, guys, is don't tune up all the way. And get in there and
close is good.
That is not a criticism. That is
no. They use that kind of like slightly just out sound as a part of their toolbox.
I would call that angular.
Ooh.
Thank you. Angular. Okay. Next up, speaking of some angular business, Minus the Bear. They just reissued their whole catalog on,
great band
titles on colored vinyl.
And I completely missed them.
Did you? Yeah.
Now I've been going back a lot.
They're kind of good.
Yeah. I was like, how did this? It was a YouTube rig rugged down when they were talking to the guitarist, and I was like, Dave Knudsen? Is it?
I think that's.
Is it? I don't. Please continue.
But guitar.
Woo! Yes. Beautifulness is what it is. Beautifulness.
Really crazy guitar work, and really odd time signatures. I mean, that was a time where that was happening a lot, and they were one of the big bands doing that. And their records haven't been available in a long time, so they're finally back. Neon Pink,
of course,
Neon Yellow,
I can't even spell his name to look it
and
up.
Neon Green. So, not just sound good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bail on you there.
No,
whatever. I'll find it. Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, if you want to find a band that's a little bit different and might be something that's gonna like, oh, okay, I can dig this.
They're your guys.
They're your guys. Do not sleep on them, please.
Okay. One thing we do on the drops, we showcase records that nobody knows this record. I didn't even know about this record. And it's part of our next on our reissue program is The Dance. This record's called In Lust. They just reissued 2 of their records, but it's sensational post-punk funk. So that was kind of a thing in your post first wave of punk. There was a lot of bands that I'm thinking of like Big Four, bands like that really embraced kind of a funkier bass thing going on, and these are kind of soulful records. But I was not aware of these records at all, and then I started looking up. They had some big reviews. I don't think you could even find an original of these, but they're back in stores. First ever U.S. release.
I was about to say, I've never seen this.
Vinyl. Yeah,
it's really cool.
So something to check out. And a lot of the stuff we talk about on here, it's just too easy to go and hear what we're talking about, especially for something that's really obscure. That if we're presenting it here, we think it's.
I'm super curious about this.
Yeah. Gosh. From the totally obscure to the completely obvious.
Thank you.
This is another one that tells you, like, why isn't this stuff on vinyl? Finally on vinyl.
Yeah.
Cake's Fashion Nugget for the first time in forever. Huge record, The Distance, and of course their cover of I Will Survive.
There is not a bad song on
It's
here.
such a kooky, fun record.
And it all works. It all fits together. Even the songs that sound like way different from the other ones, it all just works perfectly.
Yeah, The Sound of 1996.
Yeah.
Their second record. We play this record a lot at the store. I hear it whenever it comes on.
And it's just like perfectly held together by like John McCrae's voice. It's an instrument in itself.
It's brilliant in its simplicity because it's really just.
I saw them with Soul Coffee.
That is. I remember that tour. That is like a perfect. If you had to pair 2 bands,
it's perfect. And there was an opener. There was one other band that I don't remember who they were. They literally had I don't even think they had 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I walked in at the very end of it, and then it went whatever they were, Soul Coffee and Cake. It was like, that was a night. I was.
All right, we're going to finish up as we often do with some cool jazz reissues. These from the venerated Blue Note label, and We talk about a lot of Undisputed Classics on the drop from Blue Note. These are 2 records that, honestly, I wasn't very aware of. I'm not a jazz enthusiast or really into it.
Yeah.
We have George Braith and Don Wilkerson.
Yeah, so when you sent me the
George
list, I was
Braith,
like,
Extension, and this is a great record. And this is an interesting record because it pairs tenor, soprano, and alto sax with Grant Green on guitar. Plus you have organ. So like the instrumentation is really different. As with so many jazz records, it's, you know, trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You know, you just got guys playing and doing it. This record gels together pretty well. I honestly had never seen it. But, you know, Back on the Racks is available again. And I'm sure there's many jazz enthusiasts aficionados that are relieved to not have to pay top dollar for an original. You get one that sounds great. It's a new one.
Love it.
And straight up to Don Wilkerson. Preach, brother.
Preach, brother.
And the common thread through this is Mr. Grant Green on guitar, one of the great guitar jazz guys. And, you know, I find that the records that he's on are all, you know, if you're thinking jazz is a little too, again, angular or atonal for you, and if your guitar, if you lean that way, pick up a record with him on it. It's gonna land sweet on your ears. Preach, brother. Don Wilkerson.
Love it.
So 2 essential jazz records I didn't know about.
I didn't know about.
Check them out. And that brings us to the end of the box.
It took us all the way to the end. Man, we were rocking and rolling in that one.
I know.
All right, so what's coming up? What's on the future? Get out the crystal ball.
Well, next episode we'll talk about another big record from which is embargoed.
Oh, we can't talk about it.
But we can talk about it because you're not going to see this. There's a Beyonce record, but everybody knows there's a Beyonce record. Let's not talk about it.
We can't talk about it.
There's a Beyonce record.
Yeah. Queen
Bee
is back.
Yeah, Houston, Austin, Texas, great. Eric Johnson has 2 records coming out on the same day. It's a cool thing.
I know that.
We were just talking about that.
Red Hot Chili Peppers announced
a
double album coming.
Yeah, well, I guess they did it all in that one session.
Was it like 5 years since the last time? It was like it was considerable length of time, and plus you had COVID in between, and then this record comes out, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we got a double album for you."
Right. I think that they'd said when
and I didn't know this. They're out on their first stadium tour.
Yeah, I thought they put stadium.
That's what I thought.
I guess maybe
probably like a festivals. Yeah. So for Chili Peppers fans, rejoice!
It's a hot ticket
because that's happening.
Yeah, so you got like 4. You had nothing new from him, and now you got like 40.
I want to see the. I'd like to see that Pumpkins Jane's Addiction thing, the tour.
Oh, that'd be good.
I'd like to see it. There was video last night, I think, from one of the shows, and it sounded great.
Do we have a date for that?
I want to say for Houston, it's like September or October. Okay. So it's September is coming up. Anyway.
Still seems a little slow. It still seems like things are kind of just coming together here.
So hey, if you have questions, you can hit us up on the show on the socials. I'm at Fox26 Ruben, at Cactus Music, and if you see something, you love something, you're in the area, come down and buy it. Support your local record stores.
And it's a great place just to wander around and look at stuff.
Yeah,
you need to kill an hour.
And there's an occasional in-store. You might walk in here, and God only knows who's on stage performing. Guys, that does it for the drop. We will see you next Thursday, 12:30. Peace. Keep it. Don't. There it is. All right.